Thank you all for joining. I'm Michael Moore. I am your now moderator for this session. So we're going to talk about event planning, large, small, kind of do's and maybe more importantly don'ts when it comes to event planning. So I think first I'll have our four panels introduce themselves, their parks, and we'll jump right in after that. So.
Hello, I'm Wade Asher. I'm General Manager and promoter of Country Fest and Rock Fest in Cadott. We have 2 3-day events, about 25,000 people a day. We have 7,000 campsites. But we just use them basically those 2 weekends. So yeah.
I'm Jessica Malsack. I'm from Lake Arrowhead Campground in Montello. We've got about 350 campsites between 2 parks on the north shore of Lake Puckaway.
Jason Vaughn from Mountain Vista Campground in the Pocono Mountains, Pennsylvania, and I do the marketing for the Pennsylvania Campground Association.
Tom Schrader, Director of Parks, Recreation, and Forestry for the city here. They called me about 25 minutes ago and said if you could come help with event planning. We do an annual.
That's a theme here.
And that's the saying, guys.
So now we're all.
Yeah.
We do all the event planning. One of our big ones, the Riverfront Rendezvous. We get between 50 and 60,000 people over 2.5 days along the riverfront.
Okay. So I think first up, if you could each maybe describe what, I guess, brought you into the event that you guys do now. Like what, was there just massive interest? Was it just because something you inherited, or what kind of drew you to event planning? So we'll just go down the line.
Inherited. So Country Fest is the 33rd annual this year, and Rock Fest is the 26th annual this year. So my dad originally started it way back in the day when there was no festivals or really nothing around, he was 4 guys in a bar, decided to do it, and one guy was the right place at the right time, one guy had a business mind, one guy had the land, one guy had the idea, and that's kind of how it started. And a lot of growing pains and a lot of losing money and going through everything, and I took it over in 2009.
So the biggest event that we do that isn't nearly as big as that, but we do the Puckaway Pig Fest barbecue competition. We do it the weekend after Labor Day every year. It's a Kansas City Barbecue Society sanctioned event. And what we do is we have usually about 40 barbecue teams that come in, and they cook and camp on the site. And the rest of the park fills with people who want to see the event, who want to perhaps get some samples, that sort of thing. And then we give out $3,500 in prizes, cash prizes to the teams. And the way that it got started for us is there used to be one of these events in the nearby town of Princeton, and that got closed down due to sponsors pulling out or something like that. And so a family friend who used to compete in it came to us and said, hey, these events are really cool, and your campground would be a perfect fit, and you guys should look into doing this. And so he connected me to the right people to research how to put it together, and it fills our park the weekend after Labor Day, so we're pretty happy about that.
So from a campground side, I don't think we have any kind of huge events that catered outside. From the association side, of course, we do conventions and stuff like that, so we have similar stuff to like that you guys would have. Our association, we also do some consumer events. We do some s'more stuff at Cabela's. We do them at other places where we'll come make food for campers, where we do see about 3,000 to 4,000 people a day. And we also do a statewide campground contest each year. The last one, most current one, was where they made a camper mountain pie. We've done that several times. And then we actually exhibit at a fairground in the middle of the state at the end, where the 2 winners from each campground could come and meet. So I'll probably talk about those more than mine, because for Mount Vista, there's not probably any kind of great event planning stuff.
The Riverfront Rendezvous started about 34 years ago. The city had a 4th of July festival that J.C.'s ran and moved out of town with it, and they wanted to keep a 4th of July festival. So it started with 1 tent along the riverfront, and now it's turned into 4 stages and national acts, local acts. It's all free. entertainment. So the community wanted that. So the interesting thing, I started in Parks and Rec at 15, worked my first 4th of July, and when I moved here, the director brought me here and said, "Don't worry, you'll never work another 4th of July." That was in 1983. So after 45 years working 4th of July, I hope I never have to work another one.
So, what, I guess for each of you would be, you know, 1 or 2 things that make it successful every year? If that makes sense. Is it the, you know, is it the event itself? Is it the people, the events? I mean, what's the one thing that kind of draws people to your specific event? I mean, everyone's going to be different, but maybe, you know, some of you are thinking what makes this so special?
I guess I think that every event is going to be different. That draws a different draw. I mean, I also do some charity events too for raising money for cancer and things like that. So I think that you know, the cancer events it's about the emotion, it's about the people, it's about what the cause is, and it's about our whole motto is that there's no money that we have to raise to go towards the event itself. So the event is put on for free. Everybody comes together, donates everything, and then that way every penny can go to kids with cancer and so on and so forth. That's probably the biggest draw, I would say, that people want to donate money to because they know that it's going for the right reasons. That's probably for them, but for Country Fest and Rock Fest, it's 2 different things. It is the people for Rockfest. These guys are just amazing people. The average, what I always say is, if 2 rockers will come as friends to the event and they'll leave with 10 friends. And it's about the family, it's about the community, it's about the connection, that's what it's about. Country's a little bit different, it's about the party. So they want to drink, they want to get drunk, they want to see somebody do something stupid. So country's a little bit different, it's about the draw. But day in, day out, I think, what I'm really lucky to have is the people, the employees, the people that come back every single year. They make it easy, they make it convenient. And if any customer, it's like, if you just put out there that if you make it easier for everybody, they will do more of it, right? So that the easier you can make anything, they will do more of it. You just look at your phone, your apps, any of that kind of stuff. If you make it easier, they will do more of it. So I think that's maybe one of our biggest draws is we really focus on that.
One thing that helped our event, similar to what he was saying, is for the Puckaway Pig Fest, we've always made it be a fundraiser for a charitable cause. Most recently, we've been using the local fire department has been our cause, and they come out then and they provide a lot of volunteers that can help us do more things and make it kind of a better event, bring in more elements. They provide fire truck rides as like a shuttle from the parking to the main part of the event. They are able to get, for a while they did like a beer license so they could have a beer tent. They're able to get donated barbecues, so they do like the concessions. And we're happy to do that because it's a big fundraiser for them, and we still get our camp fees, our bread and butter. On that quieter weekend. So that has been helping. I feel like a lot of the teams and the campers feel good about supporting the local fire department. We do get some folks come in from the community too, who come in, and there we don't actually make any money off of the people coming in from the community because all of the things that they're spending money on goes to the fire department. But it's really good PR in our local community where, this is all of our fire department. They get to come in and see what we do, check out our operations. It creates a lot of goodwill. So that helps the success. In terms of the folks actually coming to the event, the teams really like that we're a family-based company. There's a lot of personal interaction. They get to interact with me, my family. They feel like they know us. Because barbecue people are a big family. They all know each other. They all have these inside jokes and spend a lot of time together socially. So they like to feel connected to our family. They like that we have all these customer service processes in place to handle things. And it's a very natural fit that a campground, we have the water, the electric setup. We have lots of staff who handle customer service issues all the time and deliver firewood and ice, and they like that, the smooth operation of it, because it just seamlessly fits into what we already do. Yes.
So do you normally charge for individuals just to come in like a day charge?
Good question. No, we usually don't allow it at all. You know, a lot of places will allow people to use their pools, especially certain days with a charge. We don't allow that because we're just at maximum capacity most of the time.
Okay.
So this is
So if somebody wanted to join somebody at a campsite, then you don't charge them to come in, or you just don't let them in?
we charge them depending on how many adults are already on the site. So if you rented a site from us and you brought in 2 adults, you actually would be allowed to have 2 visitors without an extra fee. If you wanted to bring 4 people in, they could get 2 people could get a day pass, but they couldn't spend the night, and we would charge them money then.
Okay.
So we do kind of set aside our visitor fees that weekend.
Okay.
Good question.
The
Oh.
other question is with the, I just went through the Safe Serve class a couple days ago, and so the food, how is that, like, is it the firefighters that are making it, or is it certified people that are making it? And you have all these people coming in, how to avoid,
Excellent question.
Sure.
So the concessions that are sold, the firefighters get it donated by a licensed caterer, and they bring it in a food truck that has the 3-compartment sink and everything like that. So they're all good. In terms of like samples and stuff handed out by the barbecue teams at the sites, like it's just sort of like don't ask, don't tell. I don't touch that food. I don't hand it out. I don't someone can hand out a sample at their site to someone walking by, and I have no part of it. So that's how we handle that.
So for our event, the bigger one that we do, that would be actually something that you guys could probably do in Wisconsin too, is that we have a statewide competition where they have to make this more mountain pies, and they pick the 2 winners. But the nice thing is it gets our campgrounds kind of competing and kind of getting together, but it also kind of gets the campers competing together, especially with social media and stuff. So you see them talking, or some people go to 2 or 3 parks. That has worked out really well, just because it's like a lot easier for our members to do an event too, because we're kind of doing a lot of the background work. And I'm not sure how Lori would like that if you guys made them do all that background work. But so for our members, you just have to have a campfire and tell campers to come make something and have somebody judge. Now, of course, we set up judging criteria too, so we make it real easy. Of course, we have a connection with fairgrounds in our association in general. So that works out. It works out kind of cool because it gives us a lot of stuff and got us a lot of press too. Because now all of a sudden you have 85 campgrounds across the state doing the same thing. So throughout the course of the season, we would get a lot of press coverage. The campgrounds would get some, the association would get some, but camping in general got a lot. So that part was really, I think, a great benefit for us. And I think, but for our members, though, the fact that we outlined, this is how you do this, all you really have to do is set up a campfire and get 3 guys to judge, and here's how you judge, then send us our winners. We've done that several years. And then, of course, at the end, you get some good press coverage. And if you can find a place to host it, that works out really well. But it also then, takes a lot of it off the campgrounds and made it easier for them. So, but, of course, there's a lot of setup and event planning. I mean, these guys probably are a lot better at that than I am. But I do actually have some like cool things that we develop for event planning. So if any of you guys want that, I can take your email address too later on and email you. And it's kind of like steps how to do it and makes it kind of easy. That may be helpful.
The big thing on our event is free, so, and we have the 4 stages, so all the stages have different types of music. So we'll have country, jazz, rock, blues, rap, and one of the tents is a kids tent. So we'll have magic acts and different things for kids. This year we're bringing in a lumberjack show out of Minnesota. The other thing, it's kind of a mini summer fest, so we have food's big too. So we have private vendors and local vendors and clubs vending. What we've done, set up probably 25, 30 years ago when we had the first fight that we had 2 groups selling hamburgers. We limit if one group sells a hamburger, no one else can sell hamburgers. So I think we have 60 different types of food being sold. And we always get the debate. The big one was always pizza. Well, I want to sell pizza. We already have somebody selling pizza. Well, I sell deep dish pizza. Well, pizza is pizza, so. And that's really worked out. We have 13 different vendors, and they all vend something different. When you had a question on food, what we do on our application, and I don't know, every state could be different, but on the application, they have to check off, they've contacted the Portage County Health, and they contacted the fire department. So the day, and the health department shows up that day, goes through all the food booths. So does the fire department. We've had problems where they didn't meet the code, and so they come to me then as the person in charge and say, well, the fire department's being hard on me, or the county, and I pull the sheet out. Well, you checked, you didn't talk to them. You know, you had a month to talk to them and meet with them and get all the rules, so you need to deal with them now. It's not my problem. So that really helps, having them pre-talk to people.
I was gonna say, in Pennsylvania, and I'm sure, I would say probably this is similar, I think here too, is that each county and each jurisdiction is a little bit differently, but we have several venues that, you know, do that where they have to come in, like if you, any of the state fairs, they actually have to come in the day before the fair opens and inspect everything. And something that goes the same for events, and that actually depends on exactly where you're located for us, and I think Wisconsin has very similar rules with that.
And I guess, you know, people walking around and taking samples from the campers, they're not selling.
Yeah.
So
No,
it's not-
and they're not allowed to sell it.
Yeah.
We do actually though have a caveat there where if they have a license from the state of Wisconsin to vend, they can sell it by the pound, not to eat as a sandwich there. And that's been fairly popular. People like to take some home, but they have to have that license and they have to bring it with them.
Yeah.
And I think in Wisconsin, a nonprofit can vend 3 times before they need a license.
Interesting.
3 times in a year.
As far as marketing goes, how do you
Somebody had a
all-
question back there.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Your bands, and you don't charge an entry, and how do you compensate your bands?
Partnership through local. Food sales, we do we don't, I wish years ago we did a percentage of food sales, it's a flat rate. So we kind of lose revenue there. And then we have all the beer and soda sales. And then we also use some room tax money because we bring in people from all over to this event.
As far as bringing people in, what do you all use, or what's been the best thing to use? Was it, you know, posting flyers around town? Was it just emails, website stuff? What do you all use to get people in every year?
For me, it's got to be everywhere. I mean, social media is obviously the biggest, the best ROI for us, and we reanalyze that every single month because it constantly changes. It's constantly evolving. There's different algorithms that they change every single month. So that's our biggest thing. It's probably social media. We're still on radio. We're still on TV. We have reduced TV quite a bit just because if we can't track it, it's tough for us to spend money there. Print, virtually none for print.
Budget,
What's that?
what's your budget for all that?
Too much.
And what does a person pay to come to your festival?
So one-day tickets are around anywhere from $60 to $70. We have a pre-sale for Rockfest that's $79 for 3 days, and then Country's $99 for 3 days. That's GA. So and we have, I mean, like this year we have Luke Bryan, Sugarland, and Little Big Town, and then our rock is who do we have this year? Rob Zombie, Five Finger Death Punch, and Evanescence. So it's metal, heavier rock, you know. But yeah, it's, I would say basically our marketing is about 10% of our total budget for the festival.
When you first, you said your father, you inherited from your father.
Yeah, I bought the festivals from him, yeah.
So when you guys first started off, did you start with small local bands, or did you have connections through bigger venues, bigger, bands and all that?
So how it works for the national acts is you call an agency, and the agent represents that agency, and then they have their agents, their RAs, and then they connect with the managers, they connect with the artists. So it's kind of a trickle down type of thing. But yeah, we started out pretty small. We started out with a budget probably of $50 grand for artists, and now we're in the millions. So I think we had like 2 or 3 national acts, and then it was just local acts from there.
Like for openers?
Correct.
For the national acts?
Yeah. Yeah. and then we just slowly grew, you know. I mean, I think, you know, if anybody was gonna come to me and say, hey, we wanna start a festival, or we wanna start a music event, you know, start the small so you can start and grow from there. Because everybody wants to spend all this money on, they get kind of starstruck and they wanna spend all this money on talent. And the quickest way to lose your butt.
We did a campground version of that. We've had our campground for 4 years. So this year we're having our 4th annual music fest.
Mhm.
Year one, we had 6 bands.
Yeah.
And they're all small, no name, but they're coming from all over. The second year we had 20 bands. Last year we had 31. They came from all across the country. They're kind of no name. My son's a musician. He has all these contacts. This year we had over 70 applications
Awesome.
of bands. And we do it like June 9th, the weekend that we generally don't have a lot of reservations.
Mhm.
And we fill that place all the time. Our bands can come and the musicians themselves get to camp for free, but anybody that comes with them just pays a daily rate, like $8 a person per day. They camp out in the field in tents. And so this year we're upgrading it, and some of our seasonals, because are gonna have a pancake breakfast for them, and we're gonna make sure we have food all the time so they don't have to have food. But, I mean, it's just amazing, and the amount of t-shirts we sell. We put the names of every band on the back. You know, it's just the tchotchke stuff that we can sell with it too.
Yeah, a lot of times, if you're creating a great experience for your customers, that's what they're coming for. It's not always that big name act. You know, if you have a great experience and it's cheap enough and you're keeping your costs down, you know, they're just gonna come as an annual event, it's a family thing.
And
you
then
know.
we've debated, because it's such a great weekend, do you raise the rates or do you leave them? And so we're at this point, we're just gonna leave it.
Yeah.
Because we just want, it's basically for campers, and this is a bonus. This year we've upped they have a whole $3,000 to spend between these 30 bands.
Yeah.
And Marty decides, you know, some come from the East Coast, they get more gas money, basically wants to pay gas money.
Right.
But you know, where do you do with this, that big debate that we all have? If you're full, do you up the cost or not?
If it's not broken, don't try to fix it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you're doing well and, you know, don't, like I said before, once you start getting to national acts and you're just on a whole different playing field where they expect this, you know, the riders, the food, everything, the hotels, everything that you gotta have, your costs just go through the roof. If it's working really, really well right now, you know, just leave it alone, you know, and just, you know, if you're doing $8 a day, you know, nobody's gonna care about $9 a day, you know, I mean, but don't get greedy, because the one thing I've always said with customers, 90% of my customers are smarter than me, okay? So if I think that I'm fooling all of them, you got another guest coming, you know? They know what you're doing, they've seen it, they've seen Live Nation, AEG pull shades over their heads and think that they got them all figured out, you know? I mean, they know what they're doing, they're not, you know? So if you do it for the right reasons, you'll always be successful.
So marketing, back to.
Marketing. So I'm really fortunate with my event from a marketing standpoint because by partnering, well, I got really great advice and was told to partner with the Kansas City Barbecue Society, and that really was crucial to getting my event off the ground because they do a fair amount of marketing for me, and I pay them a sanctioning fee, but they put me in publications, they add me to their website, so they're reaching out to the teams and judges on my behalf to market for me. I do some social media, email blasts, and then the event in terms of bringing in customers to fill the rest of our sites. You know, it's listed on our website, it's listed on our social media, it's listed in our brochure. I do put out flyers and release and put up press releases in the local papers to get locals to come and support the event. For a while I did some radio ads up in like the Fox Valley, like Oshkosh and Appleton. But I also felt like I didn't have a good feel for how much return on investment I was getting on those. So we've kind of stopped those.
So for our marketing, we partner as well for our Cabela's events. We use Cabela's; they actually market for us a lot. For our other event that we do with the different campgrounds, each campground of course markets some, and the fairgrounds that we hosted at markets as one of their events. That's like their one big afternoon event, the one day that we go. As far as the otherwise, we most of our focus is on social media for sure. And the one thing that we found out from an association standpoint, from all the different stuff that we do, is that the food and drink stuff that you post about and get people engaged with seems to be like campers really get into. So I mean, I would say that certainly for us, that is a really easier venue than when we're trying to like help sell campsites or sell camping stories or blog or different website portions. But the food and drink definitely has way more shares and way more engagement. So I think the social media part has a really great ROI for us on that, and I'm sure it would for your parks as well. It just seems that excites campers, you know, so.
I think social media is what everybody's talking about. We're fortunate enough that the radio stations bid on ours, the 3 local radio stations, and we don't pay for any radio advertising. It's kind of a challenge every year because each one will show you their demographics and why they're the better. So that really does help us. Also, after 34 years, it's titled a family tradition, so it's almost like a homecoming for Stevens Point. We get a lot of families coming back. They always know it's around 4th of July weekend. You know, we boost Facebook, boost stuff, pick out certain areas we're trying to do. It's also important, and most of the bands will put it on their own websites and their own Facebooks. I mean, most of them are Facebook now, so just make sure you follow up and they're getting their people to know you're playing actually at your place too. So, and you know, to talk earlier about when people, we have a band show along the riverfront. We get a lot of people that'll show up and say, hey, I want to book a band to make a lot of money. I would guess 90% of them lose money the first year. Because by the time you get sound and lights and it rains.
It's higher than that, actually.
Yeah. And then they rent the space and then they come back to me and say, do we really have to pay the rental fee? We lost. And it's like, I warned you going into it. Especially central Wisconsin, it's tough. People don't really want to spend a lot of money, even if it's national.
There's so much competition already. There's so many venues, there's so many, we're talking, but my festivals alone, my 2 events alone, I have more competition in my 2 festivals than in 200 miles than anywhere in the United States. You know, that gives you any kind of reflection of how many events there are. You know, so from fairs to arenas to festivals to everything you can kind of possibly think of, casinos, everything you can think of. I have more competition than anybody else. And it's tough. You got to get really, really creative on how to get these acts in there. You know,
And for like us, we hurt you because we're free.
right?
Yeah. I mean, some of the acts we booked from Summerfest, and so that hurts when ours is free.
What's something that each of you, you know, whether it be some program to get more tickets or some type of event at your particular event that you thought was really good, but then definitely was not, or something you swore you'd never do again? Because you know, folks may think of something and go, "Holy crap, that's a great idea," and then you try it and you know face reality on whatever that reality is. So.
Well, I fail every day, so, and if you do fail, you just get back up and figure out the next thing, you know, you just figure it out. I think one of the biggest blunders that we did is one time we did this fan engagement platform. So basically we put out these things, these trivia, and they had to answer all these questions, or they had to go around and take pictures, share it on social media, go back and forth, and then they could win prizes, you know, and as high as, you know, $1,000 or $2,000 worth of value, tickets or whatever the case may be, artist merch, artist sign, guitars, you name it. And what we found was, yeah, we got a little bit of engagement and we got a little bit of social media stuff, but for the money that we put into the fan engagement compared to what we got out of it, it just wasn't worth it. Because what we found is it was literally 15 people that were working really, really, really hard to get that free stuff. And at the end of the day, that customer isn't buying tickets from you anyway. You know, they know they can get it free, and they'd rather do that stuff to get it free. So it was a great idea at the time, and you think that, oh God, everybody's gonna like that, and everybody's gonna follow, and friends are gonna, you know, tell other friends, and at the end of the day, there's a certain customer that's gonna want everything for free, and then it's not gonna buy anything, and then you get your customers that you actually need to buy tickets. So.
This is maybe not exactly what you're asking, but one thing that we found that we struggled with is finding local businesses to help sponsor, even though it is a fundraiser, and it could just kind of be the area. We do have some sponsors that come back year after year, but I feel like the first couple of years I spent a lot of my time. Going and approaching other business owners, meeting them face to face, asking them about sponsorships. And by the second year, I realized that I was not getting a good return on investment in that. It wasn't worth my time for the amount of sponsorships that we were able to raise. So I'm a little bit more hands-off with sponsors, where I communicate through phone, email, and letters. And we always send them thank yous and show them pictures of the event. But I don't chase sponsors as much because I found it just wasn't worth the time.
I think sponsors is probably ours. It's tough, especially for when you start at an event, the first couple years. Yeah, I think that we spend too much time as well trying to get them with not having anything to really show them. I think after you're in something 3 or 4 years, it gets a little bit easier, but when you start something up, it just feels like we did spend a lot of wheels and a lot of time and effort, going places, talking to people, and they're like, well, what would we want to do with this? Until you really see something. So we definitely wasted a lot of time on that too.
I think we had one that, with the event we still have, is the Carp Classic. Everybody has fishing tournaments, but we have one that's carp and suckers only. And there's small trophies, and it's kind of a fun tournament. The first year we had it, we didn't program how we were going to get rid of the carp. So we had I think it was 1,500 pounds of carp. And so we told somebody to bury it, but they felt bad because the fish were still alive, so they threw them back in the river. So then the next day I got a phone call from the neighbors along the river that there's all these dead carp on the park and stuff. So we learned that you need to dig the hole early, make sure you get somebody that doesn't feel bad about carp, and bury them. So a couple of years after that, somebody wanted them for crab bait stuff. So he loaded up his pickup truck, and we loaded it all up, and we thought he was leaving. He decided he wanted to listen to music and have something to drink. So probably 4 hours later, people were like, it really stinks over there. So that was another mistake. Make sure if they take it and leave.
What do you guys, what are you guys, without divulging too much, working on for, the future? Meaning, what's kind of the next step for you guys? And again, nothing, doesn't have to be specifics, but maybe something that, people haven't thought about or haven't done yet that you are all looking into.
I think for us, it's fan engagement is the biggest thing, and again, creating things that's easier for customers to do because they'll do more of it. I think fan engagement is our biggest thing. We've been around forever, right? So we have to create something new every single year. We have to do something different that's gonna, say, hey, look at that, they did that, and because otherwise it's just so easy for them to say, hey, let's go try something else, So creating something new, creating something entertaining, we're investing a lot of time and money into alternative entertainment, so it's not just somebody singing on the stage. So whether it's magic shows for our rock, we have wrestling, WWE wrestling, and we have tattoo worlds and just different things that fits that genre of people. So we're trying a bunch of different stuff, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But at the end of the day, it's something, it's something different. Stupid Human Tricks, we've done that, and it's funny, But yeah, I think that's the biggest thing is engagement.
We are kind of doing something similar in terms of diversifying the experience a little bit. In the last couple of years, because we've done the Puckway Pig Fest now 6 years. I think this will be our 7th this year, and there is getting to be more and more competition. There's more competitions in the state, so we're fighting for teams a little bit because teams only have so much money and they spend a lot to get to the competition. By the time they do the entry fee, buy the meats, this weekend cost them thousands of dollars. And so what we're trying to do is we kind of sat down and thought about why do they come to us to begin with and what can we do to enhance that experience. And so we went back to this whole, they're at a family business, they can bring the family and the whole family has a good time. We provide kind of a personalized experience, and we were trying to sort of dig into that to enhance that and do what we do even better for them. So we've been adding more things for the family to do. Perhaps the family of the teams who bring their kids. Maybe the wife wants something to do. So we added in face painting, where we've added in tie-dyeing shirts during the competition. We do a dessert competition, so a lot of times if the wife doesn't cook, and sometimes they cook, sometimes they are the cook, but for like spouses who aren't the cook, they maybe want to make a dessert, so we do a dessert competition. We started up this year a piggy pageant. We just did it 1 year, so we'll see how that takes off, where you could either do a pig impression vocally or dress up like a pig. We had little pig snouts that we were selling. It was really cute. We had a little crown. This little girl won in a pig costume. This year we're going to do a piggy parade where we take like the crowned person of the piggy pageant will ride on a little float, and everyone from the pageant will take a walk around. So we're trying new things to sort of enhance that experience. And we did bacon basketball, which is I don't know if you guys have ever heard of rubber chicken basketball. It's that we just had a pig instead of a rubber chicken. It's sort of like a rugby/basketball game. It's silly. It was a tournament. You could win a prize and a ribbon and stuff. So that's where we're taking, that direction we're taking our competition. So it feels like a festival for the whole family, and no matter who you are, you can find something fun to do. Oh, and we started a craft fair that weekend too. So
I'll talk about two things quickly. So the one thing is, like, Pennsylvania is a little different layout than Wisconsin. So we have 8 surrounding states, I believe. I didn't really count, but 8 comes to my mind. And probably 50 or 60% of our membership within 20 miles of the border. You know, so we do have an issue of our name outside of the state. So we're trying to focus on like spending more time and effort getting our name out to those surrounding states. So that's on that standpoint. And then the other thing is we also own an RV show. And for that, we're trying to incorporate some new events into that are kind of along the lines of camping and RVs, but like totally different than any other show does or that we've done before. So we started a outdoor grilling thing where they can go get samples. We started face painting actually, which made me think of that actually this year. And because we had the same thing, we've owned the show for like 19 years and it's been around for 40 years. But like for the 40 years, they had a clown, which doesn't necessarily go over as well as it did 40 years ago. But so we had done the same exact things. Bingo was on the hour every hour, so we tried that, and we actually tried like a little truck competition this year where you got in the truck with the trailer, you drove it around the parking lot, because this is actually at a fairgrounds as well, so there's lots of space. So yeah, we've been trying to incorporate like some like things that are not exactly part of what you would consider a traditional RV show, but are kind of like camping things, and they've seemed to go over pretty well too and gotten some pretty good press. I mean, we did actually make the news. We had an RC truck race thing, which actually made the local news. The first night of the RV show this week, that was actually just last weekend. So just trying to come up with some out of the box things that like aren't necessarily in the thing, but are pretty good fits. So.
I think like the rest of them, the big thing is you got to be willing to make some changes. We used to bring in Mad Science out of Milwaukee that did science shows for kids. We did that about 5 years, and it started to get where it just wasn't drawing the crowd. So this year we changed, brought in the Lumberjack show. We used to have a Point Idol, which was real big with American Idol, where people come sing. After about 5-6 years, we started to see the same people every year showing up singing. So now we changed that to a trivia contest, and we're bringing in a whole different group of people. So I think even though it might be somewhat successful, sometimes you have to look at changing things up a little bit. You bring in a whole different group of people.
One more question, then we'll open it up to questions from you guys. But what kind of follow-up do you all have with your attendees, right after your event? Is there a, in some cases, you may do a survey because you're big enough, but is there any, kind of, acknowledgement or a thing? What do you guys do to kind of, thank them or acknowledge them for them coming to the event?
I like to think that we thank our customers in a lot of different ways, but maybe not enough. So we do surveys through our sponsors, to our all of our customers, so on and so forth. We do these we do pre-sales before our lineup's announced, so that our customers that are coming anyway can get tickets at dirt cheap compared to people that are waiting for the lineup type of thing. So they're coming every single year. We do that. But I think our biggest thing is our customer service. Most festivals don't really. They have to email somebody, or they don't have anybody to answer a phone or any of that kind of stuff. I probably have, just on my messenger from my Facebook, I probably have 10, 15 people message me a day, and they're just fans. And I respond to every single one of them. And they appreciate that, even if the answer isn't what they want to hear, it's an answer, right? And they appreciate the heck out of that. So we're really big on customer service. So 24 hours a day, I have guys on standby, ready for messenger, ready for messages, ready for emails. Customer service is huge for us. And so, and that speaks louder than anything. You guys think about it. Anything that you do, if you have a bad experience with a product, and you're looking at like, gosh dang it, this didn't work, this wasn't what it was supposed to be, and you're trying to email somebody, or you're trying to find somebody, and nobody's responding, it's nothing more frustrating. But a lot of times we don't think about that in our daily businesses, that we're actually doing that exact same thing to our customers because we're busy and we got stuff going on, you know. And unfortunately, it's true, you know. So we try to make our customer experience, you know, above everybody else, and I think that really sets us apart from a lot of other festivals. So in thanking them, we want to be able to respond to them, you know, in anything that they need. I don't care what the question is, what the comment is, I want to be able to talk to them. And I'll go on there personally, like on our Facebook pages, or Rockfest page, or Countryfest page. Each one of them's got like 160, 170,000 followers or whatever. I'll go on there personally as me and respond to these customers if they have, because they want to hear from somebody, not just a automated version or, you know, any of that kind of stuff. So I'll go on there personally, and that goes miles above everybody else.
So in terms of the barbecue teams, we thank them sort of earlier on before they leave. In that, like, when the teams arrive, we give them a goodie bag of, you know, different things. Sometimes it's canned koozies or fire starters. Last year we gave them this little like squishy pooping pig that they really liked, or we've done light up shot glasses before. And that helps them feel appreciated when they arrive. We hand them a goodie bag, and there's also like a coupon for free ice and things that they need. Also, we make a really big deal out of our award ceremony at the end of the weekend. So usually both me and my two siblings are there, which there's not a whole lot of events where all three of us owners are there. But we're there, we're, you know, shaking hands, and make it a 30, 45-minute event with, you know, Adam on the microphone, dramatic pauses, and all of that kind of stuff. We always have a photographer taking pictures of every award that we hand out, and we put those all up on Facebook. We also have a photographer go around and take pictures of a lot of the teams as they cook on their site and post those. And I know the teams like that because sometimes on their own social media pages, they need photos to put for their profile picture, their cover photo, and these photos generally turn out pretty nice that they can reuse those. And of course we try to put up a lot of photos on Facebook. It's a busy weekend, so a lot of times they don't get up until Sunday, but you know, the winner of the competition gets to be like our cover photo for the next year, and we just try to sort of solidify those memories for the teams that come so that they can remember the great time that they had.
Yeah, we do a lot with social media. Pictures are key, you know, thanking them, you know, afterwards, during that, as many pictures as we can get, we do. I mean, I think we do pictures of everything we do as well. And then the other thing is, like, we'll do that, incorporate that with our newsletter too that we do. And we've got like 15,000 email addresses, and you know, we try to incorporate getting them as they come to these events too. So, but same deal, just, I mean, thanking them for that, you know, getting a bunch of pictures there, getting a bunch of, like, you know, and then also then in both of those saying, this is where our planned dates are for next year, you know, like save the date kind of things as we're going with that.
Yeah, we have some signage around town, billboards, so we'll put thank you after the festival. But we concentrate more on thanking the partners, because without them, the festival wouldn't happen. So, and then the other thing we spend a lot of time on is thanking the employees, because a lot of them don't really, I mean, they're part-time, they're seasonal, they're, you know, it's 4th of July, they see their friends. They would much rather have a beer and listen to the music than working. So we spend some time thanking them, to a letter out to everybody the next day, just saying, hey, thanks. I think it goes a long way, because a lot of times they get overlooked, partners and employees.
Okay, we've got about 10 minutes, so let's open it up to questions you all have. Yeah?
Are there any licensing things that you need to pursue if you were going to do some kind of an event?
If there's music, you know ASCAP, BMI.
There's 2 new ones, yeah,
Yeah.
there's 4 now.
There's 4 now that you have to license. Once they find out you have the festival, you'll get a letter from them saying
That would
you
be
own
for
money.
music,
Music.
but what about your Kansas City charitable one?
No, because
Does the health department have to be notified?
no, we've mentioned it to them.
It all kind of depends on your ordinance.
Yeah.
You know, what area you're in and what they I would just say, check out that ordinance and what they recommend. Usually if it's below a certain cap of people, you don't have to do much. If it's above a certain cap of people, then you have to have this, and this. You know, so I would just check that out and see, and even your townships might have a certain ordinance too, different from your county, so there's 2 different things that would be the biggest thing, is check out those ordinances and they'll be able to tell you pretty much everything.
Also, I would say check with your insurance company and make sure that what you're doing is covered, that you're not doing anything outside of what they'd normally cover. We actually, for mine, we have to get a certificate from the insurance company and send it to KCBS showing that we're properly insured. And we didn't have any problems on my end, but I would say that that's a good idea.
And
Go ahead.
if you have a restaurant serving, they might tell you I have a license, but it's for their business on their property. It doesn't extend onto your property.
Correct.
So keep that in mind too.
How about sanitation?
Yeah,
It's same thing, it depends on your population of people, and usually the ordinances will lay that right out on what you have to have. But yeah. The other thing that I always do too is, so we'll do several small events at our festivals as well, and I'll pray for me, but we're doing weddings at our events as well, so, but the big thing that I would say is that just communicate with all your community people, like so your sheriff's department, your EMS, any of those guys, just communicate with them, out of respect alone, even if you're, you're obviously within the guidelines, so on and so forth, just communicate with them. If they feel like you're trying to do something over their, above their heads and you're not communicating with them, then that's where the problem's gonna be. We just did a fundraiser for a guy, raising money for cancers, whatever, it was a one-off thing. And I called my sheriff's department immediately because I knew it was gonna be a huge turnout. There was gonna be over 1,000 people there. I called my sheriff's department immediately and I said, hey, they're gonna park on the streets. They're gonna park everywhere. They're gonna park, whatever. What do you want me to do? I mean, what he told me, the things that he told me wasn't necessarily legal, but because I called him, he said, you can get away with this. That's everything, because he knew it was gonna happen. So he said, don't do this, but you can do this, but I didn't say that, and so that communication goes a long, long way.
Other questions? Final chance. No more questions about events ever.
I did bring one thing that we do. We and maybe everybody does this, but we call it the Bible, because every year we have new seasonal people for setup. So there's 3 of these books, and inside it's aerial photos of everything, the layouts, the tents, the stakes, where everything is, because the problem is if you're trying to set the festival up and I get busy, or the park guy gets busy, you got a bunch of seasonal people putting fences up and tents up, and they get put up in the wrong spot, and you gotta take it back. So over the years, we just have the book and we hand it to them, and all the questions are gone. It's like, did you look at the picture? That's where it goes, it's staked off. That really does help for setting stuff up.
We do an employee event guide so we go from 6 full-time employees to 1,800 in a weekend. So we have to, as you can imagine, our 6 people can't be everywhere. The big blessing that we have is all of our supervisors, they come back every single year. So it makes it a lot easier. But we do handouts for every single one for every area. And it's just like night and day, if no matter if that employee's been there for the first day or he's been there for every single year, if a customer comes up and he doesn't know what he's talking about, it just looks bad on us. So we're only as strong as our weakest link. So over planning is a really great thing. So.
Okay, let's give them a hand.